Krishna Govinda. So, I think we're broadcasting. Everyone wants to know what we're going to talk about. I have no idea. So, I have to see. Our audience is here and the computer's here, so they're going to see me to the right. And I have to.
I like this section.
We have an extension, so we could move it. Okay. They see me. Okay. Good.
Why not maybe move the whole thing in the front? Yeah, we can.
Once we do the extension.
Yes.
What I've been doing, I just got back from India, and I did doing some home programs. One of the things I like to do.
I was thinking of doing this whole
Yeah, when he gets the
extension. Yeah, which one?
he's going to get the extension and move it. Hold on, everyone. We're going to move to the front. So this is the last time I was in Edison was, I think, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 5, 4. Seems like, yeah. And that was the first time I had been in Edison. So this is a rare. This is a rare event. Yeah, that's good. I have this light above me that makes me look like I'm in the Brahmajyoti. It's actually better over there because
I could turn this off if you want.
then it'll be too
Will it
dark.
make it any better or?
That's fine. I'll make it worse. Anyway, we'll try. The light's in front of me. Now I look like a ghost. Right? I think I like it better over here. A little bit, just a little. It's bad.
You're getting reflection.
At least I can come under. All right. Something like that. I'm living in the Brahman effulgence. Trying to get that light out of the picture. That's better, right? Okay, so I've been doing some programs we did some home programs in, whoops, it's not plugged in. Maybe this is not turned on.
Maybe.
Maybe it doesn't work anymore.
There's a reset button on the top. On the very top.
This one?
No, this side is okay.
Okay.
It can.
So, I didn't lecture on anything. We just took questions. And there's supposed to be a lady coming who likes to ask questions. But I actually prefer when people ask questions because that way I can address what people are interested in hearing. Otherwise, I can talk about something that may not interest you. But sometimes it takes a while before people come up with questions. But anyway, let's start like that. If you don't have questions, I'll ask you questions. And then I'll answer the questions I ask you. So, yes, you have a question.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
What, in your recent traveling, what was your most favorite Krishna conscious place and why?
Ah, Vrindavan. And you know why. Outside of Vrindavan?
No, that's good answer.
The second most favorite place was they have an eco village outside of Mumbai. That Radhanath Swami's disciples are doing. They make their own bricks out of condensed earth. They don't bake them. And they built a number of guest houses with so they have 80 rooms now for guests. And then they have conference center and an auditorium. It's all made from these bricks. And now they're building mud huts. And I said, when I come back, I want to stay in the mud hut. And I kind of sense living in a mud hut would kind of like, if somebody was sick, you just put them in a mud hut and with the earth. So that was my second favorite place, I think. The air was very clean. And they have this big yoga shala. Huge. We had kirtans there at night. Everybody loved having the kirtans out there. It's just, natural. And they're trying to do everything as natural as far as possible, which is really nice. Growing everything. They don't have any air conditioning. They're not sure they want to do it because they want to go natural. I told them you can use gobar for they have motorcycles, but you can use gobar. You can convert it to a gobar motorcycle. So that would be nice. At least anyway, they're trying to do that.
They have water, lake.
Not sure where they're getting their water. But it's just nice that it's being done, and it's specifically being done to invite Westerners. And they've got a nursery where they're seeding all their plants. They're going to plant like hundreds of mango trees. Because it gives shade and they grow fast and they're easy. And they get groups of people coming there for retreats. Every weekend it's full. So that was really nice being there because it's something. I was talking to devotees in Baltimore and Potomac this morning, and I was saying that Prabhupada was very idealistic. And if you see some of the projects that Prabhupada wanted, it almost seems that they were impossible to be done, either to be done by anyone or to be done by Westerners. But he, the idea of a Gurukula, and so many things that didn't seem to fit in with what was possible or the way people think. But that's what he wanted. And so this is an idealistic project. So I was happy to see that. Then we did a program in Bombay at a devotee's home. And the son took me to the window and he said, "You see that house across the street? That's Amitabh Bachchan's house." So we were right across the street from Amitabh Bachchan. For those of you who don't know, Amitabh Bachchan's if you go to India, you'll see a million ad billboards with him on it because he's one of the most famous actors. Or he used to be. One of the favorite things I noticed all over India was that now in India people are very eager for Krishna consciousness. They're extremely sincere and open. And just incredibly interested, especially the devotees. And there's a whole generation of college graduates that are joining. And a whole generation of younger people, newly married couples that are joining. And they're like full morning programs in their home. Rising at 4:30. It's very common. That's going on. When I do a japa workshop there, during the breaks, have 10, 15-minute breaks. Every break, I'm surrounded by 10, 15, 20 people just asking questions. And we have to stop them to start again. They'll just ask, "How do I do this? How do I do that?" So it's nice to see that. There's so much interest in being Krishna conscious. They're so serious about it. Then, Mayapur, 800 devotees at Mangalarti. In case you have a hard time getting up in the morning, you can just meditate on the 800 devotees at Mangalartik in Mayapur. This is a normal day. This is not the festival. It's a normal day. So that's very nice. That's a very special program, to be with that many devotees in the morning. Can you imagine 800 devotees at Mangalarti? You'd want to be there, right?
Yes.
Then in Mayapur there's an ISKCON leadership sangha with all the leaders around the movement. And very, very powerful. Very positive. So there's a lot of enthusiasm. But I specifically like the Eco Village because I'm also idealistic. And I have, you could say I have a pet peeve a little bit, that I want to see, you know what a pet peeve is? Pet peeve. When there's something that bothers you about something, that's called a pet peeve. Let's say everywhere you go, people do something and it's bad. You say, I have a pet peeve. Everybody does this and it's wrong. So I have a pet peeve that Krishna consciousness is idealistic, but we are not always idealistic. We opt for the path of least resistance. So who's the bold person that wants to start an eco village, and pump water and simplify their life? Most of us don't want to do that. So that's why I liked it. Most of us just want to add Krishna to whatever else we're doing, which is, it's not a very idealistic way of life. It's just, keep the status quo and throw Krishna in the mix. But Prabhupada wasn't like that. He was more throw Krishna in the mix and throw out the status quo. Dissolve the status quo with the mix. But that's not so easy. And it's not where we begin our spiritual life, but gradually we want to come there. And Calcutta Temple, amazing temple. In the Calcutta Temple for Mangalarti, probably 180 devotees. Average age, probably 26. Average devotee, college graduate. And it's like a big family. And then they have about 15 devotees that work but live in the temple. They have a program all throughout India where people are working, but they're thinking about moving in the temple, and they can live there. And these boys are wonderful, and I would give classes there, and they would just take everything I was saying and apply it. It was a wonderful community. Now they've bought the whole building. If you've been to Calcutta, downstairs was bought, and they're putting a restaurant there. And they have another property, they're building a temple. And everywhere in India, temples are shooting up all over the place. You can't keep track of them. So, and I noticed I could really appreciate the effect of America on the consciousness by being out of America for so long, and then returning to America. I returned only 3 weeks ago, and I already feel it, the effects of it. America is thick with Maya, and it affects us very much. We're affected by it. Even we don't notice we're being affected by it. In India, I do workshops. Small workshop, it's 100 people. That's small. I mean, your workshop means the whole weekend. You have to take off Friday night, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday. That's a small workshop. I went to Bangalore. They have a congregation of 500. 250 people came. That's half the congregation came for the whole weekend. So it's a different atmosphere. You do that in America. I'm busy, this, that. We're so tired, working all week, And you get 15 devotees or 20 devotees. Throw in a sannyasi, get another 10. Right? That's America. We're affected by it. And after a while, even you throw in a sannyasi, it doesn't do anything. So, yeah. But I want to tell you what happened in Vrindavan. This is very nice. Are you listening out there? Let's see. I have to check in, see if you're still awake. See, there's a devotee. She's listening from London, from England. You know what time it is in England? It's 1 in the morning. So she's anxious to hear, right? Are you still there, Roma? I want to make sure you're there. So, I did a workshop in Faridabad, which was only 2 hours from Vrindavan. And I had been in India for 7 months and I hadn't gone to Vrindavan. And Vrindavan's my favorite place. So I had 1 day to go to Vrindavan. So we left like 5 in the morning, got there right around Guru Puja time. Put my things away in a guest house and walked to the temple. And I saw one of my godbrothers there. I hadn't seen him in 2 years, Keshav Bharati Maharaj. And he also had not been to Vrindavan for 2 years. I had not been for 2 years. And he walked in and he was just explaining how wonderful Vrindavan is and how wonderful he feels. And the amazing thing is, everything he said was exactly what I would have said to him if I were speaking and he were listening. And then we went up in front of Radhe Shyam. And we both were staring at Radharani. And he looked at me and he said, and this is what I was thinking. He said, there's no Radharani as beautiful as this Radha. And I was thinking the same thing. So we were feeling Vrindavan. Vrindavan's a feeling. And then I went to see a friend who was in charge of the 24-hour kirtan in Vrindavan. Oh, we have a harmonium. Jai, do we have any kartals? Maybe. Yeah, okay. Great, we have a nice kirtan. So, then I want to tell you this story. It's a really nice story. So I'm in Vrindavan and I'm feeling something special. Keshav Bharati Maharaj is there. He's feeling something special. We're looking at Radharani and saying, there's no Radharani that's beautiful. This is transcendental beauty. This is beyond anything you can experience materially. So then, there's a friend of mine. Actually, he's the son of a friend of mine, but I'm renting his apartment in Mayapur, and he's in charge of 24-hour kirtan after the departure of Indra, named Gopal. So he invited me over for prasadam, and we were talking. And he was telling me about this group of college students that came. And they were photography students, but their teachers are devotees, so he brought them to Vrindavan for their photography. And so Gopal takes, whoever comes, he takes them around Vrindavan to different places. And these are people who have they would otherwise have no interest in Vrindavan, and otherwise they would never end up in Vrindavan. So he said after 3 days when they were leaving, they asked him one question. They said, Gopal, can you explain what is this feeling we're getting in Vrindavan? I've never had this experience before. I don't know what it is. What are we feeling? Isn't that nice? That's Vrindavan. What are we feeling? The mercy of Radharani. So just by going to Vrindavan 1 day, and every day after that, when I chant my rounds, I would meditate on Vrindavan and try to feel the feeling I had in Vrindavan. And immediately my rounds would go off the charts, through the roof, just by thinking of Vrindavan. So that's special. So you go to a holy place and you gather that feeling and you take it with you. And you meditate on it. And then you're there. Then Delhi Temple, also there. Delhi Temple, 350 devotees from Mangalarti. And then at night, when I was there, they asked me to do kirtan. So I do kirtan, set up a whole sound system, keyboard, mridanga players. And, because evening arti, it's India. People just coming, so people stay. What else do they have to do in India? So they just stay till 9:30, 2-3 hours of kirtan. No problem, right? That's India. Somehow or other, right? Every night I do that, people stay. It's not advertised, they just stay. And then Vrindavan, North India. What do people do in North India? They dance. So the evening kirtans in Vrindavan, nothing like it. Just nothing like it. The kirtan right before Sundar Archie. All these people coming and dancing. Just amazing. It's nothing like kirtan in Vrindavan. But then we had Kirtan Mela in Mayapur for 5 days. The whole temple packed, 1,000, 1,500 devotees. Can you imagine 5 days of Kirtan with 1,500 devotees? It's amazing. So when you go to these events, you really want to take it with you. What you experience, take it and hold on to it. Because sometimes that's all we have to keep us alive. Isn't it? Sometimes things are just bad. So every place was my favorite. What else can I tell you? We went to Israel. They have a community there that's preaching to professional people. They're attracting all kinds of professional people. They're not wearing dhotis, sikas, it's just undertone. It's almost like preaching in a Muslim country, preaching in a Jewish country. Then I went to Calcutta, did a program with Bhakti Vriksha. I said, so how's Bhakti Vriksha going? Oh, there will be 50 devotees initiated this year. Just growing. So it's happening. So, any other questions? Yes.
Can you tell us some experience with interaction with Srila Prabhupada?
Oh. You want to hear when he chastised me?
Yes, everything.
You have to realize something. I would like to explain the context in which Prabhupada was preaching, who he was preaching to. I joined when I was 19. So that was 1970. And I would say, the average devotee was either 19, 20, 21.
How did you come to know this?
These devotees were at the college. Yeah, they were there. I mean, I lived in Los Angeles, so I'd see them there. I'd go to San Francisco. The devotees in those days were on the streets. You couldn't miss them. By 1970, 71, every major city had the devotees on the street. So you'd only miss them if you lived in a small town. But you'd probably see them in Newsweek or some movie or something. So the average age of the devotee was like 20, 21. And many people who were joining from the hippies and, kind of, how do we say, there's a saying in America, footloose and fancy free. You know what that means? Footloose and fancy free means not tied down to anything. No job, no residence, you can go anywhere, anytime. Footloose and fancy free. Fancy, just do whatever you fancy, and you're not tied down. So you may know the story. Prabhupada went out and preached at a farm, hippies, half the people were naked. He was preaching to, this is what he was preaching to. People who were shirking all responsibilities, experimenting with drugs, experimenting with sexual freedom. And extremely irresponsible and rejecting the values of their family. So whatever the values of their family were, even if they were good, they would make sure they rejected them, because that was their modus operandi, to reject that social system. Even if it was good, they would reject it. So these were the people that were joining. So when they shaved their head and put on tilak, all that didn't go away. It stayed. That's who Prabhupada was dealing with. Very, in many cases, very irresponsible people. People who wanted to leave their children, or their 1-year-old children and their 22-year-old wife, and take sannyas after they'd been devotees for 2 years. That's what he was dealing with. People who couldn't stay married for more than 2 years. People who couldn't, people who would go out on Sankirtan and neglect their children. Their 1, 2-year-old children, and neglect them. So that's what he was dealing with. So I was one of those who wanted to take sannyas, leave the wife and child. So Prabhupada didn't chastise me directly, but his secretary would, Prabhupada would dictate to his secretary. So Prabhupada, he would read the letter. This is how it worked. He told me this is how it worked. He'd open the letter and he'd say, Prabhupada, another sannyas request. Prabhupada would say, who? Mahatma. Tell him he's a nonsense. That's what the devotee told me. But the letter didn't say that, but that's what he said. Tell him he's a nonsense. So I got indirectly chastised for my nonsense request. So, and then if you understand if you understand the context in which Prabhupada was dealing, you understand his unlimited patience. And spreading a movement with people who don't really have any qualification to spread a movement. It's just a willingness to do it. I dropped out of college. I was 19. Didn't even complete my second year. And then I was put in charge of a temple. So I wasn't trained as a manager. Here's a temple. Run the temple. So that's what Prabhupada had to deal with. Whoever was willing to do it, that's what he dealt with. All the mistakes in the Bhagavad Gita because the person typing didn't understand what Prabhupada was saying. Pitri Loka was planet of the trees. Scented oils became saintly articles. The nectar of devotion. This is what Prabhupada was dealing with. So, people not being able to get along. Prabhupada having to be the referee. So just unlimited patience. And the thing Prabhupada saw was that these disciples would do anything for him. They were willing to do anything for him. And he would always accept. He only rejected 2 disciples because they just fought with him. They didn't accept him. And then he said, do whatever you want. But that only happened to 2. They wouldn't accept what he was saying. He said, do whatever you want. So, unlimited patience. Then, sometimes we saw somebody would take sannyas, be doing very well, and then, only 26, 28, attacked by Maya, would run off with a brahmacharya, would take money from the temple. Very bad. Prabhupada would say, come back, get married, go on and do service. No resentment. Just take from here, go forward. That's how Prabhupada dealt with it. Unlimited forgiveness, unlimited compassion, just move forward. You want to hear an amazing story? This is incredible. There was a disciple that Prabhupada had that was managing a restaurant, and he decided he would keep the restaurant for himself, keep all the money and so forth. So when Prabhupada came, all the managers got together and they told Prabhupada about it. So Prabhupada said, send the disciple to me. So the disciple came, and Prabhupada said, so, who's your spiritual master? He said, you are Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, so? Does your spiritual master own everything you have? Yes, Srila Prabhupada. He was brahmachari. Brahmachari doesn't have anything. Yes, Srila Prabhupada. So who owns the restaurant? I do, Srila Prabhupada. Can you imagine saying that to your spiritual master? Prabhupada said, take it and be happy. He gave him the restaurant. Can you imagine, the temple president? And your spiritual master gives somebody your restaurant that you paid the money for? So, why did Prabhupada do that? It was a very senior disciple. And he knew if he took that restaurant back in ISKCON's name, that disciple would leave. So because of his compassion to save one soul, he would sacrifice the whole restaurant. And that disciple was a fallen sannyasi. And so Prabhupada just wanted to help. That's who he was. He didn't judge you. He just engaged you and encouraged you. As long as you were willing to serve. As long as you weren't fighting him. As long as you were willing to cooperate. Unlimitedly forgive. That's this nice story that Malati tells to show the relationship between guru and disciple. She was cooking for Prabhupada in Mayapur before there was anything there other than that one hut. If you've been to Mayapur, you see the hut, and that's where Prabhupada lived, just a hut. And in those days, women in ISKCON and women in India didn't have much position. So just for her to cook was very, very difficult because she had to go get the money from the treasurer who didn't want to give her enough money. Probably because she was a woman. That was just the prevailing atmosphere, mood. And then she had to go take a rickshaw and then go to Navadweep and buy the vegetables because I guess you couldn't get any vegetables in Mayapur. And had to deal with all that. 1969, you want to deal with a rickshaw wall in 1969? Yes, just 5 rupees and you get off. That's 15 rupees. And they'll create a riot unless you pay 15, right? That's what it was like then. And then same thing with the, what India was like in those days, doing business. Whatever they say, it wasn't, it was just hard for her. And she had to cook on the floor. What do you call those? The fire on the floor. For Americans, Americans don't squat. Americans are not raised on the floor. They can't do that. So one day she said that was it. She couldn't do it anymore. She was having a breakdown. Just, dealing with all that was so hard. Every day, the treasure, the rickshaw wall, cross to Navadweep, dealing with all the, and then cutting on one of those, on the floor, cut, with little knives, and then cooking on the floor, and then with all the other people cooking, and so she said that was it. She was going to go in and tell Prabhupada. She was going to quit. That day she was serving Prabhupada's godbrother. So then she comes in, she's trying to keep her head covered, and it's falling off, and she's trying to serve. And she was at wit's end, finished, over. And Prabhupada said to his godbrother, "Do you see this woman?" He said, "She would slit her neck for me, and I would slit my neck for her." That was it, Couldn't quit then. But that was the relationship. The devotee would do anything for Prabhupada, and no matter how bad it was or whatever, he always accepted the service. He always encouraged. So I think it's a really good example for us. I mean, if you read Prabhupada's letters, he'll say things, "I'm very pleased with what you're doing. Krishna's giving you intelligence." You go back to like 1968, and the devotee writes a letter to Prabhupada and describes their altar, different kinds of leaves on the altar, and, models of this and that, totally weird. And Prabhupada saying, "Thank you for doing that. I can see Krishna's giving you the intelligence." Just always encouraging. Because he saw the sincerity. He didn't necessarily see that everything was exactly proper, but he saw sincerity. And so he found that. And that was such a good example for us, always encouraging. How did Prabhupada spread his movement? He spread it through inspiration and encouragement. And he would say, my spiritual master is whipping me to distribute books, and I am whipping you. And you whip others. So, we never felt that it was just us and Prabhupada, but he was representing a whole mission. And we were helping him in his mission. And then one time Prabhupada said, he was doing initiation, and he said, initiation means to help your spiritual master, spread his mission. That's, not just, I need to be initiated so I can go back to Godhead. No, but that was our mood. Right? We were helping the mission, right? So we were all, Prabhupada had this mission. He's the general. He's going to make the world Krishna conscious, and we get to help. What more could you want? It's very difficult to describe what it was like when Prabhupada was here. But one thing I can say, one thing that stands out was mission. Definitely mission consciousness, that we have a mission to save the world. And that, like they say in the professional world, you should have a mission statement for your company. And everyone in the company should know the mission statement. This is our mission. Uncompromised personal service. You have a hotel. Uncompromised personal service. So everyone in the hotel knows the mission statement. You ask anyone in the hotel anything, they'll immediately jump up and do it for you. Because that's the mission, they know it. So even without a written mission statement, everyone knew the mission was to save the planet. That was Prabhupada's mission. And that's what everybody lived for. It was in our blood. We have a mission. And that's why it was successful. Because the mission was what was in the forefront. Our lives were not in the forefront. And here's something funny. It wasn't funny to us when Prabhupada said it, but you'll think it's funny now, looking back. This is 1972. 1972, in our movement, the Grihasta's home, if you went in their bedroom, you wouldn't see any beds. If you went in their living room, you might see what you're sitting on. That was about it. And Prabhupada commented in one lecture, he said, my Grihasta disciples are so nice, they don't even have any furniture. And he was showing, that they're so dedicated to the mission. They don't even have the money to buy furniture. And they don't even care. And so, of course, we were 22 years old, so, when you're young, you don't care. But still, the idea of dedication, you want to sit, make room, they can sit. We don't have any cushions, do we?
That's also not here for days. So.
You want to come?
Well, oh.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So there was a sense of mission, and devotees felt honored to be able to do something which was difficult and makes sacrifice. There's one time Prabhupada said, this amazing thing, he said. We got this in a letter. He said, if anyone will go anywhere to spread Krishna consciousness and not care how they will eat and where they will sleep, I'll take the dust from their feet and put it on my head. I think that gives you an idea of what the movement was like then. Because the average temple in the early days of the movement was 80%, 90% brahmacharis. So you imagine you're a brahmachari in the temple and you hear that. What are you going to do? You're going to jump in the van and drive across the country and fill the van up with books and distribute and preach. You're going to be ready to go anywhere in the world, right? To please your spiritual master. So Prabhupada created that spirit, that revolutionary spirit, the willingness to sacrifice for the mission. And that's why it spread. I mean, people do that now, political campaigns. People do the same thing, don't they? Total sacrifice. How much money do the politicians spend? How much time do the campaigners spend? And their own money as well, probably. And that's what people do when they're dedicated. Personal convenience is secondary. Now you imagine, you're living in a movement where your spiritual master is up every night translating books. Think you're going to miss Mangal Arti? I don't think so. So one of the realizations I have, a lot of times we say, I can't do this. But actually it's just a lack of inspiration. Because you see what we did. We didn't have qualification. We're not coming from a South Indian family of Brahmins for 27 generations. Not at all. And we're doing that because of the inspiration. So whenever you're faced with something that's difficult, it's good to reflect on the reality that where there's inspiration, you can do it. You can overcome it. I mean, look what Prabhupada did. He did the impossible. He took hippies. You know what a hippie is? We shouldn't even say what it is. It'll make you think about all these sinful things. But I think you know what it is. The four regulative principles were antithetical to the hippie lifestyle. Maybe vegetarianism, but illicit sex and drugs was fundamental to that lifestyle. And he got those people to stop doing that. How did he do that? Intense inspiration to be Krishna conscious and to make others Krishna conscious. And these people went out and sacrificed their lives to spread Krishna consciousness. Isn't that amazing? They stopped doing what was the very essence of their being, of their reason for living, and then they went out and spread it. And they gave up everything. Dropped out of college, gave up careers. How did that happen? Yes.
Prabhuji, where are we lacking? The situations were worse than what we are right now in. Mm-hmm. Mission consciousness, and now it's...
What are we lacking now? Well, look at the it's like if you wanted an army of people, hippies were the best thing you could get, because hippies, a lot of these people who joined weren't even living at home. They were just living in parks and sleeping in friends' houses. They left home, and they didn't want to work. So to move in the temple was like almost like an upgrade, Then you got your own 6 feet at least every night, and you got some clothes and something to eat. So there was renunciation there. There's a willing to sacrifice. So I was saying initially, what's happening as our movement is spreading, what's happening is people keep their life and they add Krishna to it. So, it's just like, the life is like the cake and Krishna is like the whipped cream. So we added a little, my life is sweeter now. I've got whipped cream on it. But the life is basically the same. It looks basically the same. Whether I'm a devotee or not, kind of looks the same. But then I add, some chanting and, whereas, in those days, it was drastic change in the priorities in life. So I'm not saying all of us are like that, but I'm saying there's a tendency for that. And I think that tendency is it's just part of the culture. It's part of the whole program that's going on in the world. Do you realize that the best brains in the world and billions of dollars are spent to get us to believe that we don't have enough things? You know that? I was at a show yesterday and a lady makes signs, and I actually got a sign. I like it so much. Maybe I should auction it off. The sign said, there's a sign, the best things in life are free, something like that. There's a saying, the best things in life are free. And her sign said, the best things in life are not things. And I said, I want that sign. And she had another one that said simplify. So I got the two signs, simplify and the best thing in life are not things. So millions of dollars and the best brains in the world are working on us to convince us that we don't have enough. You ever feel like you don't have enough? You know, they did a survey and they asked people, do you have enough money? Everybody said 15% more would be enough. I'm 15% below, right? The guy who makes $10,000 a year said, I need 15% more. The guy who makes $3 billion a year said, I need 15% more. The propaganda is working really well. The other propaganda is more is better. If your apartment's 1,000 square feet, it's better to get one 1,500. You can afford it, right? I mean, how big is your house? It's as big as you can afford. How big is your car? It's as big as you can afford. Isn't it? I mean, you know, when you get a pay raise, hey, honey, let's sell the house. We can get a bigger one because bigger is better. I don't know. You got more to clean. I don't know if it's better. So, you know, when I saw this sign, it said simplify. I said, yes. I want to make a t-shirt, you know, like 10, you know, how many devotees are in ISKCON? That's how many t-shirts I want to make and give one to everybody. We can all say, simply, because that's what we need to do. Because Prabhupada didn't come here, his mission wasn't, you know, okay, he said add Krishna consciousness. Okay, that's okay. But to actually spread it, it's not just adding it. You have to, you know, something fundamental has to change. And then what I noticed, another interesting thing about this, you know, I'm saying, you know, you have the cake. Maybe you could suggest to her that they all go in the bedroom where I'm going to stay tonight. And that way, the background music will stay in the bedroom. Tell them it's okay if they go in there. As long as my wife's not in there, she's supposed to come. So we're giving this example. You have this cake, which is our life. Then you add Krishna consciousness, some cream, cherries, and we do this in America. Whipped cream, cherries, and crushed walnut. Can you do that? You have that? You ever eat like, you know? That's a very American thing. So the same thing that I've noticed, not only in lifestyle, but the same thing I've noticed is in just who we are as devotees. Like at the temple, we're whipped cream, cherries, and walnuts. But in our life, we may just be the cake, like the same, kind of like the same almost as we were before we were devotees. Just the difference is what we do before we go out, you know, in the morning we chant. Then we go out in the world, and we're kind of like... Do you ever call a company because something stupid happened, like they were supposed to do something and they didn't do it, and they promised they would do it, and they sent you an email that they would do it, and then they did the wrong thing? And then you call them up and you have to go through voice menu, and they ask you your name, your social security, you know, your password, and only to find out that you have the wrong department. You go to another voicemail, and then you get asked, and then, you know, you get to listen to the music for 15 minutes, and, you know, you're 78th in line, you know. Estimated waiting time is 4 hours and 20 minutes. And then you could go to our website, and you go, yeah, but my question is not answered on your website, because, you know, this doesn't happen every day. And so you go to the next voice menu, and then they ask you, what's your name, what's your password, you know, this is the third time, you know. And you're starting to get, it happens to you every day?
I was to this just yesterday.
So sometimes, you know, like by the time you get the guy, you want to tell him, you know, your stupid company, you know, to like, you know.
Forget what we have to ask them.
Yeah.
Instead we get-
And you're just like, you know, you're ready, like, I don't even care, you know, hang up the phone or whatever, you know. So, okay, this happens to us. Things like this happen, right? We get upset, you know. And that's like we'd be if we weren't devotees. It's kind of, you know, so sometimes we just kind of are the same as we were before we were devotees, when we're dealing with all these things. You stupid idiot, you know, when voicemails and, you know, can't your company get, you know, say, hey, wait a minute, I'm a devotee, I shouldn't say that. You know? No, I left the whipped cream and cherries and walnuts at the temple. I left them in my japa bag. I left them in my puja. Now I'm out in the world, and I'm just, it's the same problem, you know. It's very similar, you know. It's like we add it to our life, and then we keep our life the same, and we almost don't even realize we're not supposed to act that way anymore. You know, isn't it? Yeah. I'm out at the movies, out at the party, doing this. No, wait a minute. I thought I was a devotee. No, that's on Sunday. No, when you chant, you think like a devotee, but when you stop chanting, then, you know, whatever. So Prabhupada's mission was to take it and integrate it. Like I was in India, I make jokes with Indians. I say, you know, Krishna doesn't really want your bananas, your 3 sticks of incense, and your coconut, and your kumkum. That's not really what he wants. But that's the consciousness. I can go to the temple and bribe God. After all, I gave you 3 bananas, 3 sticks of incense, a coconut, and some kumkum. You know, you should give me a better job. Right? That becomes religion. That's what it's all about. You know? And then I go home, you know, turn on the TV, watch the news, watch a movie, go to sleep. So that's where we're coming from, isn't it? That's ingrained in us, you know. Use God, get what you want, offer the puja, and, you know, then you have your life. Go out. So that's not Prabhupada's vision of spirituality. Spirituality is 24 hours. You integrate what you learn into your life all day. So when we do that as individuals, lifestyles change. Because we think more about what we're doing. Should I do this? Is this what Prabhupada would want me to do? Do I need this? I'm looking out shopping. Do I actually need this? Whenever my sister would want it, my father he grew up during the Depression, 1929. He was about 20 years old then. And he saw the whole economy collapse. So he was wealthy, but he didn't like to spend money, which is one way you become wealthy. Right? So every time my sister would want to buy something, he'd say, do you want it? Do you need it? Or you just want it? But that's how we think, yeah. So, you know, that's how Prabhupada thought. And that's how we should think. If we, you know, do I need this? Or do I just want it? So that's something that I feel is important for all of us. You know, it's like to not have 2 lives that are separate. Here's my spiritual life, and here's my other life. No, there's supposed to be one integrated. Because if you do that, then in your other life, you can compromise, and you think, well, it's okay, that's my other life. You won't compromise in your spiritual side, but in the material side, you may compromise, because you think, well, that's my other life, it doesn't matter. That's not what it's all about. Right? That's not, you know, it's not the way it's supposed to be. Okay, yes.
See, like, while for the new starters, does this whipped cream and coconut banana will work? I mean, later, we realize that this is not the thing, but...
It's, we just have to help people realize it's only the topping, and it's got to seep into the cake. That's when we start to make real progress. I mean, you know, we all have our nature, so it's not like we're going to entirely change. And we all have needs, and it's not like they're going to entirely go away. But at least, if we're becoming more Krishna conscious, we should see some difference in how we interrelate, in what's important for us, where our time goes. You know, things should change if we're advancing. At least a little bit. But I think where we run into the problem is, it's like you create a vacuum for your spiritual life. It exists within a certain realm. It exists within my home, in front of my altar, or in the temple, or just and then there's the rest of my life. And they're two separate lives. That's a mistake.
Not personal progress, Prabhuji, but I'm talking in the sense of mission consciousness or increasing.
How to increase mission consciousness? No. You want to do something amazing? I did this myself. Now, I don't know where to get them. I think you can get them at Krishna.com. All of Prabhupada's recordings of everything he said and everything he sang is on DVDs, like a few DVDs, you can get it all. So you get all the recordings, specifically the morning walks. And just listen to them every day for like 3 months. And you'll be in revolutionary consciousness. Because when you listen to the morning walks, you realize that's one of the main places the revolution was happening. It was on those morning walks. Because Prabhupada was training his devotees to preach, and he was giving a vision of the mission, and the devotees would give feedback. But they say this, but we tried this, and Prabhupada. I did that once. I just listened. Hour after hour after hour after hour. I had some time. Just the morning walks, and I realized if you listen to these, you'll understand why ISKCON spread, because you'll see here's the revolutionary group. Because Prabhupada is cutting through everything. The moon landing, the scientists, it's all there on the morning walks, and you can see the Prabhupada said things no one ever said before him, and even in the morning walks, he said something like, he said all of Bengal was ruined by Ramakrishna. And he said, perhaps I am the only person who's ever said this. It's a bold thing, because everyone in Bengal loves Ramakrishna, or maybe all over India. And he said, Ramakrishna ruined. And Prabhupada would say things like this that nobody said. It was a true revolutionary.
And why does Prabhupada say that Sri Ramakrishna ruined?
Because he said he was God.
Who said Ramakrishna said Ramakrishna was God?
He said he is God himself. Yeah. That he is Rama and Krishna. But so many things. So you see, where's the mission coming from? Where's the revolution coming from?
And you are referring to Ramakrishna Paramahansa.
Yeah. Who else is going to say that? It's the whole, you could be assassinated for saying it. And Prabhupada said it. He said many things. Very, very heavy. He was a revolutionary, totally. And so, by hearing those morning walks, you see the spirit. And the other thing, amazing thing by hearing those morning walks, is that you get to listen to Prabhupada's disciples. His disciples on those morning walks, most of them 23, 22, 24, they've been devotees 2 or 3 years. If you didn't know that, you'd have no idea by listening to them talk that they've only been devotees 2 or 3 years. You'd think they've been devotees for 30 years by hearing what they say, the realizations they're having, the questions they're asking. It's amazing, the inspiration and the depth of their Krishna consciousness that they got by associating with Prabhupada. By associating with someone whose mission was only to give others Krishna. You see, you're living with this guru who only has, his life is only on one track. It's to give Krishna to others. That's all his life is about. It doesn't have a left turn or a right turn. And he's telling his disciples, and your mission is to do what I'm doing. And they tried to do it, and that's how it spread. Like I said, what do you do when your guru is up at night translating books and traveling around the world every year and not taking extra rest to account for jet lag? What do? You try to do that also. So that's a devotee's consciousness is to give Krishna to others. Materialistic consciousness is to be happy, to make my life comfortable, right? So if we're only absorbed in making our life comfortable, how can we be a powerful influence in helping the world? And you look at any revolutionary person, be it Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, look at any of them, look at their lives. Were they thinking about maybe should I buy a Lexus or an Avalon or a Camry? Was that what they meditate on during the day? Should I buy a 56-inch screen, a 47? Should I download this DVD or that? This, right? They weren't thinking like that. They couldn't. They're only thinking about giving Krishna to others. So the more we're in that spirit, the more things happen because we exist for others. That's the spirit. And Prabhupada instilled that spirit. If he didn't instill that spirit, how could the movement spread? What did he say about the Gaudiya Math? He said when they bought this new temple in Bagh Bazaar, he said everyone was arguing about the rooms, and Bhakti Siddhanta said it better we sell the marble because it's created such a problem. So Prabhupada's mood was you go anywhere, don't care how you're going to eat, how you're going to just, Of course, that's the renunciate, but that was his mood, That's what he did. You go anywhere and give Krishna. Don't worry, Krishna will take care of you. Your own life, you simplify it as much as you can so that you have more time and energy to give Krishna to others. My disciples are so nice, they don't even have furniture.
They don't even have
Furniture.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to be fanatical. This may not be, don't go home and sell all your furniture. But you understand the principle that the mind and heart of a devotee is about other people. Especially initiated devotee, that has to be. If you take initiation, you have to be willing to make some personal sacrifices in where you spend your time and where you spend your money, and use that. You can buy books instead of buying the Lexus.
What is the definition of initiation? Everybody in Krishna consciousness talks about initiation, but what exactly does it mean?
Well, initiation is a formalization of a relationship with one's guru. And you can say many things about initiation, but it's a willingness to serve the mission of one's guru and to follow his instructions, and to guide your life by his instructions, instead of guiding your life by your whims and by your own desire. Because you may want to do something, your guru says no. What do you do now? But you're willing to have him guide you. Ultimately, people take a guru to be guided. And when you take Diksha, you're formalizing that. It's like a wedding, It's already, engagement's already there, and you're formalizing. So it really begins when you're taking instruction. And everyone, even if they're not going to take Diksha, should take instruction from somebody, be guided. Diksha may come as a natural byproduct. Even if you don't think you're ready, still you take Diksha from somebody who can guide you. Somebody you have faith in. It's your connection, it's your God. It's God incarnate to you. This is how you connect to Krishna. He's your God, like the guru, the parent, the teacher. This is culture. You honor them like God's representative, the king, the husband.
So, there is a first level and then the Brahman initiation. How many levels are there? Like, what are the Brahman initiation then?
Then sannyas.
And who is allowed to initiate others? How does it work?
Who's ever qualified? If their guru has left and they're qualified. One who follows their guru can. One who's initiated and who follows their guru, and their guru has either given them permission or their guru has left, they can initiate. You have to have a guru to be able to initiate because you're connecting. But my experience is it's much more important to be a good disciple. Oh. Everybody's like, who's the guru? Who's the one? Say, but that one can't plant the seed in the desert. So if your heart's like a desert, it doesn't matter who he is. So you have to have that fertile soil. And then if you have the fertile soil, so many gurus will be able to plant the seed. Of course, you should have faith in that guru. But it's really important. I think it's more important to consider your position than his position. ISKCON has taken the problem away from it. It's like, there's so many gurus. It's not like you just go out searching. from scratch. I have to find a guru. I'm going to India and interview 1 million people. You get the gurus coming to your front door all the time. You got a wide. I get 170 to choose from. And so that's not really the problem. The problem is being a disciple. That's my experience. Because if you're focused on who's the guru, you've taken your focus off who you are. I'm not saying, one guru for everybody. You don't have to think about it, but you really need to think more about your own qualifications. You have your first birth, which is your physical body, and your second birth is your guru becomes your father. That's your second birth, your spiritual birth. Then it's more important. It's a more important birth. Right? Spiritual father is more important. Now, Prabhupada wanted all his disciples to be gurus and all their disciples to be gurus. Whether you initiate or not, that's the mission. Of course, you're all thinking, well, I can't be a guru. But Prabhupada wants you to be a guru. Help somebody else become Krishna conscious. Be guru to your children, to your employees, to your associates, whatever. Yes?
Should we wait to get initiated before we teach Krishna consciousness?
Before you preach?
Before we,
no, I would say a good principle to follow is whatever you teach, practice it. Just make sure you practice what you're teaching. Of course, we teach we're not the body, but that's not easy to realize. But if we're living a somewhat Krishna conscious life, then we'll have potency when we teach it. If you teach, okay, rise early, but you don't rise early, it's not going to, it's not going to affect anybody. It's not going to have potency.
Will it help in rising early?
Yeah, it will. If you follow the principle that I won't teach anything I don't follow. So if you're going to give a class tomorrow on rising early, you better rise early that morning. Because then it'll have potency. See, the thing about initiation is, the connection with the spiritual master begins from hearing. So initiation can happen anytime. Prabhupada waited 11 years, but he said, I accepted my guru when I met him. He met Bhaktisiddhanta, and that was it. His whole life changed. And he said, I knew he was my guru. Drastically changed. So I suggest to people, even if you feel you're not ready to chant 16 rounds or follow the principles, find someone you can take instruction from, because that's how you'll be able to do it. And if you can't find anybody, then you can take general advice from anyone. And when you feel connected more at some point to someone else, then you follow them. And then at some point, when you're ready, you formalize it, when you know you can follow. And in ISKCON, there's like a subconscious pressure, because you don't belong. You're not going to go back to Godhead if you don't get initiated. No. But that's not really the way it should be. Because once you're connected to the guru, that's the real connection. And then you formalize it with Diksha. But the real connection is the instruction. Like I have so many people who see me as their guru, and they're not ready to be initiated. But I'm helping them. So that, there's someone they can go to help them. And I see it's very good. And I don't know a lot of these people when they'll ever get initiated. I don't know when they're going to be following all the principles and chanting. But the relationship is there. Guru-disciple. Otherwise you think, well, I can't have the guru until I'm 16 rounds and 4 regs. But the guru helps you to do that. And you can have so many Siksha gurus, you don't even have to think that I'll ever take initiation from any one of them. Just someone to help you that inspires you. There's so much inspiration you get from spiritual master. It's fundamental to the practice of bhakti. Take guidance. And it doesn't have to be a big guru with 1 million disciples. It could be anybody. It could be your temple president, anybody. Your next door neighbor.
So you're saying that just having the desire to, understand that Krishna consciousness is must. I should give, just having the desire is not enough. We should also make sure we practice.
Yeah. I mean, having the desire is fundamental. But we should know what the practices are. So you can increase that desire. The desire is there, but the practices bring it out. And the practices are natural. The more you do them, the more natural they are. And the more you do them, the less you want to do other things. So one of the symptoms that you're advancing is other things become less attractive. And if you're finding yourself, you know what Prabhupada said one time? He said, Maya means that he said, this is Maya, that material things appear more attractive than Krishna. That's how you know you're in Maya. See, because the material things are Krishna's energy, so they're attractive. They're very attractive. So, but when you're Krishna conscious, how attractive is Krishna? Come on. There's no comparison. But unless you're experiencing that or tasting it, then you don't know. You just have to go after the material things. You know what Bhaktivinoda Thakur said? He said, there's nothing else in this world other than the holy name. What does that mean? No, tasteless, no attraction. Could you imagine having that experience? You couldn't stop. Number one, you couldn't stop chanting. Number two, you'd have absolutely no interest in anything. Number three, everyone who'd see you would start chanting. Because you'd be emanating something very deep, right? Wouldn't it? That's the ultimate result of pure chanting. That you come to this point and nothing's attractive. It's like you look at everything in this world and it's like, nah, not that. Something else. You want this? No. What about, it's just like there's no interest. You know the feeling when you're not interested in something? When people are trying to interest you, your family's like, come on, let's do this. Nah. Oh, let's do this. No, I don't want to. You have no interest. So, for someone who's completely Krishna conscious, he sees everything like that. Prabhupada, don't you want to go see this? I didn't come here to sightsee. Prabhupada would travel and they'd want to show him things. He wasn't interested. He's seeing Krishna. What else is there to see that's attractive? Right? Pallavi, did my wife come?
Your phone is ringing.
Yeah, they probably lost her. I don't know what they're doing. Can you call her back? Yes.
No idea what was the first devotees who went to Brazil to spread the.
Oh, the first ones? I don't know. I don't know the history. We could probably find out. Hridayananda Maharaj might know.
Because I remember you saying there was already devotees there in the streets.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Maybe you can call her and find out what's going on.
I don't know who's coming actually.
It's probably her. If she's not here, she should have been here an hour ago.
I didn't see who's coming, but it was ringing.
6 missed calls. That's not good. Oh, my daughter called. 6 calls. Let's try this one. Excuse me, everyone. This is what family life is all about. What's going on? Oh, it was the address on the 8. Can you go outside and
Yeah, sure.
they're outside waiting? Now I have to call my daughter. She just flew to Florida. Maybe we'll get her to preach to you. Hold on. So what should we do now? Have kirtan or more questions? Or both?
Couple of pointers to take away and implement on a day-to-day life, especially in office time. How to be Krishna conscious. And then
Well,
we can take on case.
One of the things. Well, I can tell you something I'm seeing when I travel. I mean, one of the things I'm seeing is this problem of separating our life. You know, we're like schizophrenic. You know, it's the saint and the sinner. You know, this is my sin time. This is my saint time. You see that? You know, lack of becoming one whole person, and then this extreme challenge of sadhana. Because this sadhana program, you know, japa, if you want to chant 16 rounds, is 2 hours. Let's speak if you want to read a little bit. Then you're up to 2.5 or 3. You want to do a little puja, you're up to 4 or 5, you know. And then you haven't even cooked yet, you know. So and with the way the world's working now, the demand. You know, it used to be when I grew up, you know, my father would go to work and get there at 9 and he would come home at 5. Yeah, Pallavi's going out to look for you. Number 6. It says number 6 in front of the building. Yeah, because the address is 618, so they're all. So she's going out. No, it's the next one after. I just called her, but she didn't pick up the phone yet. She'll call me back. I know, I just called her. This conversation is being recorded on Krishna.com. We're giving class now. Yeah, I'm giving class and nobody can hear what you're saying, but anyway, we'll talk to you later, okay? All right? Howdy, well. So where were we? Oh yeah, we were, and then another half hour to take care of your family, or an hour.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're an enunciate, a sadhu, brahmachari, vanaprastha, no problem, right?
Yeah.
You just go to bed 8, 9 o'clock, get up at 2, 3. You can turn the world off if you want. You know, you can say hello to the world 8, 9 o'clock. You don't have to do anything. In theory, you know, unless you're a GBC guru sannyasi, that's even worse. Something. But anyway, the point is that more and more I'm seeing this is a huge challenge for people who are working. Because most people who work have to leave 7:30, 8 o'clock. And so whatever they get done by then, that's it. When they come home at night, whatever they do, it's usually too late, too tired. Isn't it?
Yes.
So that time before we go out, that's it. That's so people ask me, say, well, Prabhu, what you advise for being more Krishna conscious? And I say, get up early. Because if you're up early, what are you going to do early in the morning? Watch a movie? No, I don't think so. Play the radio? Read the newspaper? I hope not. You're going to chant and read. Right? That's what you're doing. I was once in Mauritius, and this doctor was driving me around, and because they grow sugarcane, they make liquor out of it. So everyone in the village is outside getting drunk. And he made the observation, he said, everything bad happens at night. The later you stay up, the worse it is. So you go to bed early, get up early, everything's good. So that's what I'm saying. It's difficult. You learn so many things. Like I do japa workshops, and we learn amazing things at the japa workshop. But if you don't get up early, when are you going to do it? Isn't it? That's the problem. You have to be up in the morning to do it. And so, simplify. I have to do that t-shirt. Simplify. Because unless we simplify, where's the time? Right? Work, more and more to get more money to pay for the things that I don't need, that don't make me happy, that'll never make me happy, that couldn't possibly make me happy. Isn't it? And then where's the time go? That's the problem. So, our life, it's a whole package. It's not just get up early. There's so many other things that are going to influence whether you can even get up early, whether you have the time. Even, be sane enough to figure out how to get to bed early and get everything done. I mean, it's interesting. It's like one time, the devotees, in the early days, they asked Prabhupada about children, and he said 2 children is enough. It's like, why did he say that? He said, because here were people who come to practice spiritual life, and he knew. You have 3, 4 children, there's no time, right? It's only time for one thing, for them. So, in what Prabhupada's introducing to all of us is a spiritual practice that we can all do as if we are sadhus, but we have to organize our life a little bit more like sadhus. Otherwise, it gets extremely complicated. Then I had this realization at one of the japa workshops. After one of the japa retreats, I had a realization that sometimes I'm really busy. And there's been times when I cannot find time to finish my rounds. Something happened in the morning I had to take care of. And then I'm trying to squeeze it in, and it's going, and it's going. And I was thinking, why am I so busy? And I realized that I don't have a taste for chanting. And so subconsciously I'm filling my day up with things so I don't have to chant. So I have an excuse not to chant. Isn't that sick? But we do that because we're not attracted. So why would, if you're really attracted to chanting, why would you fill your day up with a million things that get in the way of your japa? It wouldn't make sense, would it? So I think for many of us, subconsciously, we don't really want to do it, and so we just kind of put all this stuff in the way. We say, I have no time to chant, I'm so busy. So this is, it's a real problem. If especially if you want to get initiated or you are initiated, you need to have sadhana in your life every day, 365 days a year. Just you have to have it. That's part of like the contract, the commitment. You've taken initiation. That means your life has to change to accommodate for the vows you've made. You can't just take it and just continue the same, because it's going to be you're going to be out of alignment. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to sacrifice somewhere. But that's what I'm seeing. For people who want to be serious about bhakti, some things have to change. I'm not saying you haven't changed them. I'm just observing that for those who haven't, they run into problems. And then the more you advance, the more it changes. And the more there's Krishna and the less there's Maya. And at some point, there's only Krishna. And there's no Maya. And then you're like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there's nothing but the holy name. Then you've hit the top. That's it. Yes?
How, like, sometimes kids have different exposure and they like stay in some different environment, like, for longer time.
A bad environment? Environment
no, I
not...
mean, like the school's environment is sometimes different. So
Right, how to deal with
they
it?
come back like with sometimes different
You're talking about...
needs, those take away in their interests away from what we want them to practice.
Right.
So sometimes we don't, like it becomes difficult, so that we don't pressure them so that they go more far. But other way we want them to be connected so that
Right.
they,
So what to do?
so what how best
You're asking like how to deal with your children because they're being influenced by American society and their values, and how not to force them into Krishna consciousness because they may reject it if you force them. Yeah, I think there's a couple of ways you can look at it. I think it's part of an intrinsic problem in the fact that we don't have our own communities, because ideally Prabhupada wanted that. But of course, it would be difficult because not everybody wants to live in a community, in a simple house where you pump water and cut your own wood. Because I think that's better than finding bugs in software 12 hours a day, personally. I think it's a healthier lifestyle. But it's a gamble you take when your children are being raised in America, especially the university. That's probably the most difficult. That's probably where it's the worst influence they can get. And you have to have a deep connection with your children. And they have to have deeply imbibed the values of Krishna consciousness. And you have to tell them that you trust in their life they'll always do the right thing. Because you have to, reinforce that to them, that I know you will make the right choices and decisions because I know you're intelligent and you know what to do. And you give them in your own example, in your own life, as much of that as you can. And keep your fingers crossed when they go to college. I mean, my dream is find somebody and give me a few $100 million, and I'll just buy land, and I'll build schools and houses, and and we'll earn income spreading Krishna consciousness. So, that's ultimately solves all the problems. That we're all together because Krishna consciousness means sangha. We want to have our own sangha. And as I said, Prabhupada was a revolutionary. So one time he was walking by the university, and he was making a comment. He said, "So this is where the girls learn how to become prostitutes?" That was his comment on the university. It's true. That's where they learn it. So, this is the educational system, and this is what they learn. People say, "Mahatma Prabhu, what did you study in college?" I said, I studied to learn how to smoke ganja and how to have sex with unmarried women. That's what I learned in college, as did everybody. That was part of the curriculum that we learned. In the best country in the world, in some of the best universities in the world, this is what we learned to do. And how to get good grades and not go to class. We also learned that. How to do as little work as possible, get as good grades as possible, and enjoy as much as possible. And get programmed that I don't have enough. So that's what we're dealing with. And the strength in Krishna consciousness is community. Isn't it? So anything we can do to build tighter communities will just help. And, get all the devotee kids to go to one college and take all the same majors, and so they'll all be together and they'll protect one another. And then, you ask your kids, what are you learning? And if they're learning things which are not Krishna conscious, you say, well, that's the secular idea, but it's not true. Just so you understand it. And then the only other thing you can do is relish Krishna consciousness yourself, because they'll see that you're happy. Like with us, the whole hippie generation, we saw our parents and we didn't see that they were happy. So we said, I don't want to be like you. So they couldn't do anything. They couldn't say anything to us. Because they had it all and they weren't happy. And we saw that. So, devotees come to me and say, Prabhu, how can I get my kids to chant japa? I say, well, what do you do when you chant japa? Fall asleep? Yeah. So why would your kid want... You're bored to death when you chant, and they see you, so why would they want to chant? Right? You know the joke? The devotee goes up to his father and says, Dada, is Mama's Bhagavad Gita better than yours? He says, well, what are you talking about? He says, well, she's always reading her Bhagavad Gita, and you're never reading your Bhagavad Gita. So is hers better than yours? So, the example we set, that's what the kids see. So, you're never reading Gita, you're never reading Bhagavatam, you're going to tell them to read it? You're reading the newspaper, you're on the internet surfing, that's what they see. So that's what they do. And then you complain to them.
Be an example.
Yeah, exactly. I was in India and I was telling these people, I said, look you all pray for blessings, for God to solve problems. I said, but look you got the problems from not following Him. And now you're going to Him to pray to solve the problem that you created by not following Him. So it's the same thing with the kids, You don't set the example, you create the problem, and now you want figuring out how to try to solve the problem you created by not setting a good example. Sadhuji, give me blessings. I've totally messed my life up by not being spiritual. I want your blessings to solve it all. It's crazy, isn't it? So we should have a little kirtan, right?
Yes.
Anyone else has questions, then you can stay later. Yes, what? Do you have any questions?
Even though I read the theory in the morning and chanting, I'm still not yet satisfied. But when I read Bhagavatam, I derive more pleasure. I really enjoy the transcendental pastimes of Krishna.
More than chanting.
Yeah, more than chanting. But still, I'm chanting early in the morning before I go to work. But still, I'm decided I'm not able to control my mind.
Yes. You have to come to the Japa workshop. We solve that problem. But I'll give you a hint. Would you like a hint how to do it? You ever seen a man read the newspaper? You ever seen a man on the train read the newspaper? Sports page? Reading the elections? He's absorbed, right? You ever see someone watch a movie? Right, isn't it? Totally hypnotized, right? The whole world could blow up. They wouldn't even know what happened. Right? The train falls off the track, spins around, He doesn't know what's going on. They're looking at the football scores, The stock, the latest stock numbers. So, devotees say, oh Prabhu, when I chant, I can't control my mind. You say that when you watch a movie?
No.
When you read the newspaper? I don't know if you read the newspaper or you read, the Bollywood Times or whatever you read, whatever those magazines are, the Who's Who, the Mahajan magazine, the Mini Johns, not the Mahajans. We're totally absorbed, aren't we? Wow. What happens? You just turn the world off. What happens at night when you go to sleep? Lights off. You just turn the world off. When you chant japa, turn the world off. The reason your mind is going, you haven't turned your world off. It's still on. The engine is going. Your mind is going. Gotta do this, gotta do that. What about this? What about that? Right? Thinking of yesterday, thinking of later. What you have, right? Isn't it? Just turn the key off.
Try to control, but again it was again trying to
No,
control,
because
but
no, you don't have to try to control. Just turn the key off. You can't control it. If the key's still on, there's no need to try. Just turn the key off. That's it. It's simple.
Does that make one go sleepless?
No.
But we created so much contemplation, right? Already your mind is filled up with every day. If you are thinking Lord Krishna, then those thoughts will come. But our thinking is 90% on the material things. So those thoughts will keep coming unless we, on a whole day basis.
If you make, when you do your puja, what happens to your mind? You think about your shopping list while you're doing puja? Think about all the things in the office? No. You turn it off. Japa is puja. You just don't realize that it's the same thing, so you don't turn it off. You start to realize this is puja, this is worship. I have to turn it off. So we don't constantly turn it off. If you don't turn it off, and then you're sitting there chanting, trying to battle with your mind, it's like trying to stop your engine without turning the key off. You lift the hood up and you're trying to pull wires, and wires are shooting back in your face. I can't turn the engine off. Hello, just turn the key. That's how you do it. So it's like, you can't fight your mind. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that in Harinam Chintamani. He said, you can't. He said, you have to make a conscious effort. Krishna, this is japa time. It's not time for making a shopping list, balancing my books, planning out my day in the office. It's time for chanting. When you make that sankalpa, then you can do it. If you don't make that sankalpa, then the whole time chanting, it's going, Prabhu, I can't control my mind. I tried. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It works really well when you watch that Hindi movie. You're totally absorbed, right? It works, so why doesn't it work for japa? Right? So it's just an excuse, because we do that all the time. We turn things off. Student studies, he turns the world off. You watch a movie, you turn it off. The man reads a newspaper, you turn it off. You read your movie magazine, you turn your catalog for the latest saris and jewelry. Oh, you're in that world, right? You just turned everything off. Oh, Prabhu, when I chant, I can't control my mind. Give me a break. You can do it for everything else. Why can't you do it for this? Because you don't try.
Because we don't have taste.
Yeah, we don't have taste.
I mean, that's the problem I face. Like,
Yeah.
we still try to find pleasure in the material things.
But if you at least make this sankalpa, then you can get the taste. See? Because then you create a foundation to get it. But you can't get it just trying to. Then you're just like chanting, get your rounds done, First man who finishes 16 wins the race, It's like intention. Yeah, turn off your life, turn everything off. It's just you and Krishna. You and Krishna. When you chant, just like you and your husband, right? Your husband comes home from work, you want to talk to him, he puts a newspaper in front of his face and you're talking to him. How do you feel? So we're doing the same thing with Krishna, It's time to chant. We put our life in front of our face. And Krishna's saying, I thought you were talking to me. Not really. I got other things to think about. I got things to worry about. Hare Krishna. Isn't it? Yeah.
Continuation. How about relishing the past times or whatever we read during the daytime about Krishna's dealings?
Yes.
Those come up in the mind sometimes. Is that the it's not.
If it comes up naturally, yeah, that's nice. But if it's forced, then it's not the process to force it. But if it's naturally there, yes. That's an impetus to be absorbed in Krishna. See, my realization is this. when we chant japa, often what happens is we're absorbed. We're chanting the holy name, but we're absorbed in our life. We're worrying about our life. Will I get this job? Will I get this position? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Will he get this position? Hare Rama. How can I get him to not get the position? Hare Krishna. What story can I tell the boss about something bad that he didn't do, but I'll tell him he did? Hare Rama. It's like, and oh Prabhu, I have no taste for the holy name. Well, I wonder why. Because, you're completely absorbed in your own life. That's the problem, right? So if you're absorbed in Krishna Leela, that's wonderful. If you're absorbed in hearing, that's wonderful. But that's the goal.
What is perfect chanting, Prabhuji? Like, see, Krishna's things come, Krishna's pastimes come. To a level, it is okay. Like, instead of thinking about material things, if something good is coming, but what is the ultimate?
Ultimately, there's so much you could say about perfection in chanting, but I could say one aspect of it is that you're in a dialogue, you're in a prayer with Krishna. You're in a conversation with Krishna. You're talking to him, he's talking to you. You hear. You're opening your heart to Krishna. That's what's going on. Just like you and I are talking. You're talking to Krishna. You're asking Krishna for purity. And if you go further, then you're getting out of your life, you're getting absorbed in Krishna and the relationship. And sometimes you forget where you are. You actually forget you're in your room. You become so absorbed in the holy name and your relationship. You lose a little bit of touch with the external world. That's very good. Now you know you're advancing.
Yeah. Like always you think, Krishna, I want to be in your service, I want to be in your service, I want to be in your service. But ultimately, where the point where we can know, this is the chanting. I know I'm not.
Oh, you'll know it. You don't have to ask anybody.
Yeah.
When it happens, you'll know it. Because you'll taste something sweet, different, special. And you'll feel Krishna's presence. And you'll want to keep chanting. Like Prabhupada said, you don't have to ask the waiter if you're full. You'll know. But that may take many years.
Many lives.
Be patient. Or it may happen tomorrow. Yes.
Prabhuji, when you chant the Mahamantra, what should you focus on? Like the words itself or the meaning where you chant? How do you focus, to concentrate? How do you focus?
Both. But the meaning, yes. The meaning is, you focus on hearing, absorbing yourself in the sound, but the meaning is not a mental focus. The meaning is all...
So you don't really focus on the meaning of the Mahamantra?
No, you do, but not in your head.
So how I sometimes I try
Well, let's look at some of the meanings. One of the meanings of the Mahamantra, which you may not be aware of, is Krishna, please accept me. Okay. So, if you want Krishna to accept you, that means there's a feeling there that you need to be accepted because you turned your back on Krishna. And now you're returning. Right? So when you're chanting, you're not thinking, I turn my back on Krishna, I have to turn around, I have to be accepted. It's just a feeling. Krishna, accept me, I want this relationship, accept me. So when you're meditating on the meaning, it really comes as an emotion. Please engage me in your service. Please don't allow me to be engaged in Maya's service. It's a feeling, I want to be engaged in your service. So it's not up here that you're chanting when you're meditating on the meaning. It's not even in words. When it's in words, you've lost it. If it has to go to words, you're disconnected with it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because devotees, I tell devotees the meaning, and they say, but Prabhu, you said just here. Because they're thinking meaning means you meditate just on words intellectually in your head. But when you actually get it on a certain level, you're just feeling it. Krishna, please accept me. That's it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. I turn my back on you. You're feeling bad. You turned your back on Krishna. Accept me. That's a feeling. That's japa. Japa is not get 16 rounds done any way you can. That's not japa.
So when you move the bead, each bead is supposed to be the whole Mahamantra.
Correct.
So sometimes in the middle of the time, I just stop and forget about moving the bead. So
You get to chant more. You get to chant more mantras that way.
because when you concentrate on moving the bead, as soon as you finish the Mahamantra, you're supposed to move the bead. So what I'm saying is that what should you more concentrate? Moving the bead or the Mahamantra?
The bead. You're touching Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet when you touch the bead. And it's Tulsi. You concentrate on hearing.
Main thing is hearing.
Hearing, absorption, praying, feeling, receiving. Here's my realization. We'll end it tonight. This is one of my favorite realizations that I've had. Is that Krishna manifests his affection to us in his holy name because it's through the holy name that the relationship develops with him. The relationship we have with Krishna is awakened. And Krishna wants the relationship with us. So he's going after us to get the relationship. And he says, here's the holy name. By taking this name, we'll have a relationship. So this name is the most valuable thing that I have. It's the greatest gift I can give you, both for you and for me. So you're chanting and thinking, Krishna's affection is manifest to me in his name. And if you really meditate on that, you can't then just chant to finish your rounds. Because now you've entered the essence of it. When you're just chanting to finish your rounds, you've lost the meaning, you lost the essence, you've lost it all. When you enter this essence, it's just Krishna's affection. That's all. You're just receiving Krishna's affection, and you're reciprocating with his affection. That's how you reciprocate, by chanting. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that nice? You like that? Yes. Now I want to tell you something. I want to tell you something very interesting that I told at my last Japa workshop. I asked a question. I said, Prabhus and Matajis, what would the Hare Krishna movement be like if there was no Hare Krishna mantra? It'd be different, right? Prabhus and Matajis, what would our lives be like if there was no Hare Krishna mantra? Be a lot different, right? If you contemplate this, it'd be really different. So much of what's going on in ISKCON wouldn't be going on because nobody would have the spiritual strength and detachment or desire to do it. And our lives would be a lot different, right? Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, Krishna is not in his name. Ooh, you never heard that before, have you? He said, he said, sound Krishna is not Krishna. Krishna is inside the sound. And what he meant is that by your serving attitude, Krishna comes. He said, a capsule of medicine is not the medicine. The medicine's inside. It's not the capsule. So it's that Krishna's inside that sound. So I said to the devotees, Prabhus and Matajis, maybe every day you're chanting, but you're not chanting the Mahamantra. So we just determined how bad our lives would be if we don't chant. Or maybe every day you're not chanting. Or you're getting a little bit only, you know. So it's an interesting meditation, isn't it? to think that maybe I'm chanting, but I'm not really chanting. Because if we really chant, there'll be symptoms. They'll manifest. Satisfaction, happiness, bliss, inspiration, detachment. All these things, they'll all be there. You don't have to worry about it. It'll just be there. But just think, maybe you're chanting, but you're not chanting. Or maybe you're almost chanting. Or sometimes chanting. But why waste 16 rounds and Krishna's not even there? Well, he's not there much. It's not good time utilization, is it? Okay. Should we do kirtan? Who's got the harmonium? I saw harmonium. A little junior harmonium. Lap size. Okay.
No.
We're going to do a special kirtan. This kirtan is so special that once you start chanting it, you can't stop. So we might have to keep you up late at night tonight.
Very conflicts.
What? Yeah. Wow, look at that. Can I put it on my lap? Okay, sure. Try it. See what happens.
You gotta hold it like that. Because it like air comes with it.
So how do I pump it? Oh, like this. Oh, yeah. Joy. We're going to chant a new melody you've never heard before, which was revealed to me one evening. And ever since I chanted the melody, everyone who heard it went crazy. So you may have to see your psychiatrist tomorrow. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Don't chant what you think it sounds like, but chant what I chant. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Everybody. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. This base Mahatma Prabhu ki jai.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight.
Huh?
We will see you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Hare Krishna.
Go home and drink. Not only one success. That's it.